I'm Karen Sliwinski. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, and I live in Akron, Ohio. So today I'm very excited to be showing you a bundle that I kind of overlooked in the catalog. It's this one. It's called Fond of Autumn. And I know when I looked through the catalog a couple of times, I just skipped right over it because that was such a big design. I'm like, oh, I don't really need that one. But then when I gave it a second look, or third look, or maybe fourth look, I saw that it had great potential. And it's mostly because of the dies. So I'm going to show you briefly what the dies look like. But they cut out a whole lot of stuff. So today I'm going to be making a card. And it's not even a fall card at all, even though this says Fond of Autumn. I think you're going to really like it. And then I want you to stay tuned until I get done with that card because I've got quite a few other ones to show you. And they're going to give you lots of other ideas to make this a very versatile stamp set. So thanks so much for watching me. I am very happy to have a bunch of new subscribers, so welcome. And as you're going through, and if you're not a subscriber, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And if you click the bell, you'll get notifications. And then I really would love it if you shared this with your friends and invited them to be a subscriber as well. So I'm going to get this camera turned around and we're going to get started. So this is our stamp set. I'm going to open this up. I'm going to pull out the dies that go with it. So when I first looked at this, as I mentioned, I saw this great big element, this big stamp, and I'm like, oh, that's just a lot of bigness that I don't really need. But when you see what this can do, when you pair it with the dies, you're going to be amazed. So I'm going to show you what happens. So when you first stamp that big element, you have the die that will cut it all out. And then there's an intricate die, which is the middle portion. And as you can see it here, I've got it actually taped together with this outside edge. And this gives you this beautiful detail die. All right, so that's that first part. But then there is this die right here. And this takes this right there and it cuts it into 4 different pieces. So you end up with these 4 pieces when you cut that. And you can pair them however you want. And then of course you've got the single flower and oak leaf and an acorn and then your banner. So right there you can see there's a lot of versatility. So let me get those out of the way. And we are going to make this card. And I said it is not a fall card. Right now we're just getting into the heat of summer. And so I didn't want to make a fall card. I wanted to make a happy summery card. So this is the card that we are going to be making. So we're working with our polished pink. So this is a card base. This is 8.5 by 5.5. And I'm just going to fold that in half and then use my bone folder to give that a good crease. And then you're going to need a couple other pieces of paper. So you're going to need, oh, I lost one of my pieces. I'm going to have to grab one. You're going to need 2 pieces that are 4 by 5.25. Okay, so 1 in the polished pink and 1 in the basic white. And then you need about a 3-inch square so that you can use the Stylish Shapes die to cut out the stitch circle. And then another scrap, which is about 2 by 3 inches. So we're going to start by stamping. Of course, you need an envelope. We're going to start by stamping on this piece here. And we are going to be using these inks today. So we have our polished pink parakeet party and of course our memento black. So we're going to use this flower and we're going to grab our pierce mat to give me that little extra cushion. So this is going to be used as a background. So we are going to stamp this all over the background. And I like to start at the middle and kind of rotate my stamp and my paper around so that it looks a little bit more random. And you're going to want to stamp off the edges. And we're just going to cover up this entire background and make this like it's designer series paper. So keep going with that. I just think this is so pretty. This tone on tone and it makes a lovely background and totally spruces this up. A few more and we'll be done with that. I'm going to put one here. I think we need a little one at this edge. Oh, we need something right here. So there, we have this covered. Now, while this is still inked in the pink, I'm just going to put a couple of these flowers right in this bottom corner. And I'm going to have one off the edge here, and then one more up here. All right, so that's going to be for the inside. I'm going to close this up and I'm going to clean this off, and we're going to then switch over and stamp in our tuxedo memento ink, which is just black. So make sure I get this nice and clean. So we're going to take that piece of scrap paper and we're going to stamp 2 of the flowers, which we will then die cut. So go ahead. That's the first one and the second one. I'll close that up. All right, now it is time to color. So for coloring, I have chosen our polished pink, fresh freesia, aren't these beautiful summer colors, daffodil delights for the center, and then our parakeet party for the leaves. So I'm going to go ahead and color, and I'm going to speed this up so that you don't have to take all the time that it's going to take me to color these. But I do want to say that I'm not going to do a lot of blending with these. I'm just going to do a few wispies and leave it at that. That'll sort of be like these little lines here that are in the flower. So it doesn't have to be super fancy when you color this because it's just a small little flower. So I'm going to go ahead and color, and then I'm going to speed this up. Okay, I'm just about finished up with the coloring. And once again, I did the polished pink and the fresh freesia on the flowers. And then I did the Daffodil Delight for the center. And then I did the Parakeet Party for the leaves. And I just see there that I just missed a tiny bit of that one. So now what I'm going to do is take the die. I'm going to go cut these out, and I will be right back. All right, so here we have our 2 flowers. And now we have our stitch shape, which I had already cut this out ahead of time. And on this, I'm going to stamp my thank you sentiment. So I'm going to do that in our Parakeet Party. And I do want this thank you to be just a little bit up in the upper right corner. You've got to leave space for your flowers. So there is our Parakeet Party thank you. All right, we are almost done with this card. I'm going to get these blends out of the way. And we are going to stick this flower down. I'm going to stick that directly on here. I'm not going to raise that up at all. So I'm just going to put a little bit of adhesive. And that's going to go up on this. If I can get the glue started. Well, maybe if I clear out some of these little glue goobers. Periodically, you got to do that. Okay. Let's try this again. Well, every once in a while, you need to use a little pin. So I have a pin handy, and I'm just gonna put that in there and clean that off. Now we should have some glue. Okay, so just a little bit of glue, and that's gonna go here. And then the second one, I am going to add a dimensional and right in the middle, and that is going to overlap just a little bit like so. All right, now I think we are just about ready to assemble. So I'm going to get out my card base, and then I have our background that we did, and we are going to be using this wonderful ribbon. This is a gingham ribbon in black and white. Cool thing about this is you could color this with your blends marker. So if I wanted to make this pink, I could do that. I typically will take my ribbon right from my spool and not cut it off to make my bow. That way I'm a little bit more efficient. All right, I just kind of guesstimate how much I need, but I did measure. It's about 21 inches if you were to cut it. But this way I am just going to tie my bow and then trim it right from the spool, and then I've not wasted any of my ribbon. I do that all the time with my bows. So let me adjust this a little bit, make that a little bit smaller. I think that looks good. And then all I have to do is trim this. Maybe make it a little bit smaller. I think it looks pretty good. So there is that. And then this is going to go directly onto our card front. So I'm going to go ahead and get my adhesive on here, put a little bit so it goes over the ribbon. And this is just going to get centered right there. And I really love using liquid glue because it does allow you the chance to slide this into place. Okay, and then in this piece, we are also going to pop up. So I'm going to add some dimensionals, I should say, not dimensions. Dimensionals to add dimension. And then we're going to peel off those backings and stick this right over top of the ribbon. This is going to go right about, I'll make sure it's not crooked, there. And then all we're left to do is add our inside, which we've already stamped this panel. And we're going to put that on the inside. And it goes like this. And then to finish up, I have a piece of scrap paper. I'm bring in my Pierce mat again. And we are going to take our envelope and put the scrap paper here. And then I'm going to do the same thing that we did on that front polished pink panel. And I'm going to stamp these flowers all over, just like we did to make that background. It gives it a very happy look when it arrives in the mail. And it's perfectly coordinated. Couple more. And again, we're twisting and turning and get that covered. So here we have our envelope flap. All right. What do you think about this Fond of Autumn card that's not very autumn at all? I really love it. So here again is the card that we just made. And you can adjust. I might adjust that bow to make it just a little bit smaller. So now I wanted to show you a couple more cards that I made using this bundle. So this is the first one. And this one uses some paper that's actually shown with another stamp set. It's called the Rustic Harvest Designer Series paper. And look at this paper. It has the oak leaves and the acorns right in it. So I thought it paired beautifully. And it really showcases this detailed die that we cut. So simply had the sentiment and I matted it in black, added a few pearls, and we have a beautiful card. I just stamped some acorns down there. And I did some acorns and leaves on the inside. So that is the first one. Then the second one, I used our Cottage Gingham paper. I love this paper pack. It has gingham prints in large scale and small scale, and it comes in a whole variety of colors, and it's a huge pack. It's a really great deal. So I stamped my big stamp in a early espresso. Maybe I did soft suede. I can't really, I think this was soft suede. And so I stamped that and cut that apart, and I only used the leaves and the acorns pieces, and I ran them up and down. a simple little sentiment flag the ends, and some of our faux suede ties it all together. And then the piece that I didn't use on the cover, I stuck inside. So here is that envelope. Okay. Our next one, oh, you know that I love these. These are the split texture dies. Oh, they're so pretty. And this is again a non-traditional fall color palette here. I use soft seafoam and pale papaya for the berries. And then I used crumb cake for the acorns to keep it nice and soft. I added this double bow with pale papaya. And then these gems, these are brand new. These are called the Fine Sparkle Adhesive-Backed gems. Let me open this up. These are great because they are really a flat embellishment, so they add bling without adding a lot of thickness. But they come in these fun colors, and they're actually shown in with the gnome suite. So you might not think about pairing them with other things, but it looks really pretty with this one. And then for the inside, I just added some more. And then I stamped some soft seafoam leaves down the side. And then my last one is a fall color palette. So this one is so beautiful. And I don't know if you know this, but it is watercolor month. So this was stamped on watercolor paper. And I do want to tell you something, because you may not realize that this exists. So when you're doing watercolor, you need to use Stazon ink. But did you know that we have saddle brown Stazon ink? They don't show you a picture of this in the catalog. They do list it, but they don't show you this on here. So this gives you a whole different look. I think it just gives it a softer look, and it really is beautiful for fall colors. So I used the saddle brown ink, and then I used my water painters. I used a bunch of colors. I think I have Old Olive and Pear Pizzazz. I have pumpkin pie, and this is probably soft suede. And I think, oh, I can't remember what I used in this one. This might have been sweet sorbet. That's another favorite of mine. And so I did all the watercoloring, and then I cut those out, and then I assembled it and in and around and tucked in and over of my little banner. So this one has the Neutrals Designer Series paper in the 6-inch size. Thought this gave it a nice textured background without detracting from the flowers. And then I did another flower on the inside. I used some very vanilla on the inside to pair with it. I thought it looked very nice with the fall colors. And then here is my envelope. So these are the cards that I have made using the Fond of Autumn bundle. I hope that you really have loved it. If you would, tell me in the comments which one of these is your favorite card. I would love to hear from you. And if there's anything that you would like help with your scrapbooking or stamping needs, I would love to help you with that. The links for all of the products that I used to make this card will be in the video and in my blog, which is thepowerofacard.blogspot.com. And you can reach me via email, or you could leave me something in the comments, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it.